series. Welcome everyone to our Dhamma Talk series. We are delighted to have you all here for this special Dhamma Talk number 62. Today we have a remarkable session lined up for you as delve into the profound speech of the Vatthūpama Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 7, with Ayyā Sudinnā, the esteemed Abbess of Carolina Buddhist Vihara in Greenville, South Carolina. This weekly special Dhamma Talk series aims to expand the Dhamma knowledge of our Dhamma USA community, and we're honored to have renowned Buddhist monastics from around the world sharing their wisdom with us. This insightful session will take place every Sunday at 6 a.m., 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m. International Time, and 7:30 p.m. on Dhamma USA's YouTube channel and other social media platforms. Best of all, it's free for all to attend. So mark your calendars and make sure not to miss these precious Dhamma sharing sessions. Today we have the honor of welcoming Ayyā Sudinnā, a Sri Lankan bhikkhuni who was ordained as a samaneri in 1999 by Bhante Gunaratana at the Bhavana Society in West Virginia. She received the higher ordination Upasampada in 2002 in Sri Lanka. Ayyā Sudinnā brings a wealth of knowledge to today's talk, having served as a teacher in government schools and as a lecturer in English at the Government Teachers Training College in Maharagama. With an honors degree in English and a master's degree in Buddhist philosophy, she is also an accomplished author of 3 children's books titled Delightful Tales, Precious Tales 1, and Precious Tales 2. Today's Dhamma Talk, titled Vatthūpama Sutta, Profound Teachings for Inner Transformation, will explore the deep insights offered by the Vatthūpama Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 7. Ayyā Sudinnā will guide us through the essence of the sutta, shedding light on its teachings for inner transformation and achieving peace and harmony within ourselves. Without further ado, I now invite Ayyā Sudinnā to grace us with her wisdom as she delivers a special Dhamma Talk number 62 on the Vatthūpama Sutta, Profound Teachings for Inner Transformation. And we encourage your active participation, as I will also have the Majjhima Nikaya with me and reading along. So feel free to ask questions and share your thoughts in the comment section below so that at the end of the talk we can take your questions.
Good morning. First of all, I must say I thank you, Bhante Sumit, for inviting me today to give this talk. I gave a talk earlier too, and I hope this talk also will benefit many people. And I also thank Tinuri for being the host today, and I'm very happy to see her there. And without taking more time, then I will start now. And thank you all for coming and listening. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Friends, today we shall study the Vatthūpama Sutta, or the simile of the cloth, from the Majjhima Nikaya, the middle-length discourses of the Buddha. This deals with a set of 16 defilements of the human mind, and the Buddha delivered this sermon to correct certain imperfections that were hindering the progress of meditation, especially in the monastics. These are moral, disciplinary codes of social behavior. We could say they spring from the 5 hindrances. That is, they are called nivarana in Pali. That is lust, ill will, sloth and torpor or drowsiness, restlessness and doubt, that form an umbrella above the mind or in the mind. The Buddha knew that the ordinary worldlings had these in differing proportions. Some have more, some have less. Today, I like to suggest that while we are studying the sutta, we could look within ourselves clearly and honestly to discover if we too have any of them, and if so, how could we manage them? The sutta opens with the Buddha giving a parable of a cloth to be dyed or colored, but which cannot absorb the dye because it's soiled, the cloth is soiled or stained. Similarly, the Buddha says, when the mind has certain impurities, it's impossible to progress spiritually. Let alone spirituality. In the mundane world too, these defilements may cause much unhappiness, conflict, division, shame, and suffering. These 16 defilements originate from greediness, selfishness, aversion, ego, the self-idea, and conceit. These 16 may be put into 6 groups. That is, 1. Covetousness, ill will, anger, grudge. All those go into the first one. Then the second is contempt or scorn, spite, envy. Third one is stinginess, deceit, fraud. Fourth is callousness, impetuosity. Fifth one is conceit, arrogance, mental intoxication. Sixth is heedlessness. In the first group, Covetousness, ill will, anger, and grudge belong to the hindrance ill will, but they separately function and influence the mind so that they leave a lasting impression which totally distorts and perverts the mental faculty. Covetousness or abhijja and unrighteous greed, visama lobha, come under lobha or greed. Covetousness is the greed that springs from one's own wealth, such as one's spouse, family, belongings, etc., trying to protect them. And unrighteous greed is the longing for others' wealth, such as the lust for others' spouses or wealth, etc. Greed of any kind makes the mind restless and fearful. Why fearful? Because you are afraid others will come and take these things away. This greed drives people to acquire wealth for sensual enjoyment by unskillful means. Ill will, vyapada, leads to one's own distress and to others' distress and obstructs wisdom and leads away from nibbana. When a thought of ill will arises in a person and she or he tolerates it, many unwholesome thoughts like may they perish, may they be slain could follow. Ill will could bring back former grievances, done or imaginary. Some of them may have been done to you, some may be just imaginary. To oneself, you see that you feel that you have been somehow a victim. One's parents, relatives, or friends, and therefore one wishes the enemy to perish. This could result in a woeful rebirth. Now, that is the part that is very dangerous. The third defilement in this group is anger. Now, resentment, which is called upanaha in Pali, sets in after anger, has repeatedly covered the mind. You see, now when anger has been there for a long time, you nurse it, you see, and keep it going, then resentment comes. That is called upanaha. Anyway, since I'm sure you all know the consequences of anger, I'll take the fourth factor here. That is grudge. Now, how does grudge come about? When anger is not abandoned, it repeatedly returns to the mind and becomes a grudge. Can you see now? When you have anger, sometimes we cannot, escape it. Anger might come, but we must not nurse it or, keep it with us and think about it again and again. We should let it go. Then we will be free and unburdened. So, sometimes a grudge may continue to affect the family members too, so that the children of both sides dislike each other and continue to quarrel, find fault, and get angry with each other. That's why the Buddha said, Nahi verena verani sammantida kudachanang. Averena cha sammanti esa dhammo sanantano. The meaning is hatreds never cease through hatred in this world. Through love alone, they cease. This is an eternal law. So, can you see, if we go on nursing the hatred or anger, we are the ones who will be penalized in the end, not the other person. The Buddha uttered this verse that I said just now to a woman and an ogress. You know, ogress is a she-devil like, who was trying to eat the woman's baby. They had been co-wives, and while one was barren, the other was fruitful. This happened in an earlier life. In an earlier life, they were the co-wives of a Brahmin. And the barren woman caused 2 miscarriages. And in the third attempt, killed both the mother and child. The dying woman willed vengeance on the other, and the two, in many births, killed each other's offspring. Finally, by the advice of the Buddha, they stopped their hatred. Now, that is the first, the first group that we came across, right, of defilement. Now we come to the second group. The second group has contempt or scorn, spite, and envy. One who has contempt, that is called makka in Pali, does not appreciate the benefits or help given by others and devalues them. Ingratitude towards parents, teachers, friends, and relatives. They say, you see, all that I have, now that person may be very rich or, well-to-do. All that I have are due to my own efforts. And failing to care for one's parents will bring retribution even in this life itself. So it is not a very good quality to be ungrateful. You remember Radha, the monk, the old monk. He was not a monk at that time. He was just a helper in the monastery. Buddha asked, "Is there anybody who has been, who has been helped by this man?" Then it was Venerable Sariputta who said, "Yes, he has given me, or he, gave me a spoonful of rice." Now remember, that spoonful of rice he could remember. So Buddha said, then you ordain him. And actually, Venerable Radha became an arahant very soon by being very diligent and heedful, right? We'll come to that later. Now, spite or malice or presumption or insolence, this is called palasa in Pali, arises when one puts oneself at the same level as others who have superior qualities and abilities. There are some people who don't want to, say this one is higher than me, right? So there are people like that in the world. Such people may even be ridiculed by getting into arguments and disputes by sticking to one's views and not owning defeat. One may come to ruin here itself and also earn a woeful rebirth. Now, the third in this group, in this second group, the third thing is envy. It is called Issa, is resentment over the honors, etc., shown to others. This could extend to wealth and property, even to fame, ability, even looks and health, right? Even generosity and knowledgeability, etc. Because of envy, one would talk ill of the other or devalue the other's abilities and accomplishments, and even try to stop the generous deeds of the other. If envy was not a feeling of human beings, the world would have been a paradise. But now, instead of friendliness and kindness, people live in fear and doubt with no happiness due to this evil. Many misdeeds like hidden attacks, poisoning, killing, stealing, giving false evidence are evils due to envy. Such people lose both worlds, this world as well as the next. Now, in the third group, now we come to the third group, right? Now, this is the we have done two of them. Now, the third group are stinginess, deceit, and fraud. Stinginess is called machariya, is also known as avarice and selfishness. This springs from an unwillingness to share one's possessions with others. There are different ways of this defilement manifesting itself, that is, material stinginess and even Dhamma stinginess. This is that is Dhamma stinginess is not wanting to share the Dhamma that you know or whatever facilities like books, CDs, etc., that you have with others. Not wanting to share the temple with other monastics. Among lay people, when you are friendly with a certain family, you do not like other friends to visit them. If someone is doing a good job and earning a good salary, has a fine life, etc., one feels, oh, if I had all that wealth. Now, that is what you call envy. Isn't that so? Envy. Anyway, now the next one is deceit or maya, is hiding one's bad behavior and projecting a well-behaved and honorable front in public. There are lots of people like that, and people get deceived too, especially in politics, right? So, due to ignorance, such a person thinks that if unknown, any kind of unwholesome act is permissible. This kind of person is found among both lay and monastic communities. At death, one recalls all the evils one has committed and accordingly gets a woeful rebirth. Now, the next one is fraud. That is called hypocrisy, isn't it, in English? And in Pali's, Satteyya is similar to deceit. Sometimes people mistake such a person as clever, but when found out, is shunned. Now, the fourth group is callousness or obstinacy. That's called Thamba. And then another quality in that group is impetuosity. That is rivalry. That is called Saramba. The earlier one, obstinacy, is Thamba. Rivalry is Saramba. Thamba is a column. The word Thamba means a column of wood, rock, or concrete that cannot be bent or is not flexible. A person who has this defilement also is extremely obstinate and would not listen to good advice. They are unsociable, unruly, and unlawful. Such people come to grief either by law or sickness or accident. If the advice is worthy and true, whether it's given by an elder or youth, a wise person or not, rich or poor, it's to one's own benefit to make use of it. Now, the other factor in the group is impetuosity or rivalry. That's called Saramba. This is the drive to outdo others' achievements. The whole world has come to misery because of rivalry in all spheres of life, from food, clothing, housing, transport, education, etc. People try to outrival others. So, untold misery in the whole world is the result. A few centuries back, life was simple and people had much leisure and they spent it happily and peacefully. Today, to cope with the demand for new things, people have to work and earn throughout the year, but can provide only 20 to 30% of their needs. But rivalry could be a positive force if the more powerful or stronger person helps the other to succeed, and it'll create harmony and peace. It'll bring not only goodwill but boost his or her merit. The one who gives will get merit too. Now we come to the fifth group. Has conceit, arrogance, and mental intoxication. Now let us see conceit or mana. Mana is the Pali word, mana, is the underlying tendency to one's view, and the conceit is superior. That is called Seyyya mana. Seyyya mana. Now, when you say mana, there are three kinds of mana. One is Seyyya mana. That is, one is superior to the other. The second is one is equal. That is Sadisamana. Sadisamana. Then the third is one is inferior. That is Heenamana. These are mundane views. But Asmimana is more lasting. For instance, when someone thinks that after death, I shall be permanent, everlasting. That is the idea in many people's minds, isn't that so? When the When the Buddha teaches about one's, non-self, this person will become violently upset and agitated about a non-existent self. Meditation on impermanence, contemplating the rise and fall of the aggregates. The aggregates, that is form, feeling, perception, thoughts, and consciousness, and actually seeing, restraining, and removing defilements through the practice of the Noble Eightfold Path, one would be able to see the truth that there is nothing here that is permanent. The Buddha advises any kind of material form, whether it's past or present, internal or external, one sees it as actually. If you see it with wisdom, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself, one will abandon the clinging and the view of self. One has to see all five aggregates in the same way. Contempt is in certain ways similar to mana or conceit in the mundane world. The second thing in this group is arrogance or atimana. An arrogant person will always look down on others, holding oneself above everyone else. She or he does not pay respect where due or listen to any advice given by the wise. Until this one learns equanimity, she or he will never get love or honor from people. A noble disciple would think, I am trying to follow the path, so I must get rid of this fetter. If not, only suffering, regret, and a woeful rebirth will come to me. So, with the support of non-arrogance, arrogance can be abandoned. You have to think about it. The third factor in this group is mental intoxication. It's called mother, which could result from pride in one's youth, health, life, beauty, wealth, family, or family connections, etc. Such a person, when seeing an aged person, is repelled or disgusted, not thinking that she or he too is subject to aging, or seeing a sick person or a dead body does not reflect that she or he too is subject to sickness and death. This mentality, known as intoxication, is very similar to drunkenness from alcohol and drugs. Because of this intoxication, they behave badly by body, speech, and mind. They do not realize that one day they too will change and they will be separated from all that they value. And all beings are the owners of their actions. And if I do evil things, I will be responsible for them and have to bear the consequences. Buddha regarded the removal of minor defilements. Now, what we have been talking about is this, minor defilements, as essential for the mental training to attain liberation. Having any of these, we cannot attain liberation. These 16 defilements are of an ethical or moral or sila, belong to the sila group, nature, so that they refer to a person's social behavior. But the last defilement, negligence, we have not yet discussed it, has a more personal aspect, though it has close social connections too. Among humans, one's social conduct strongly affects his or her spiritual progress. This heedlessness or negligence is called pamada, is like insanity that all unenlightened suffer from. It means being carried away by one's emotions and losing awareness of reality. One may not be aware of the mental, verbal, and bodily actions that one does, right? Such a person cannot distinguish good from bad, right from wrong, and may not be able to make the best use of one's learning. Through this mental insanity, one fails to do good, for this person's only interest may be sensual pleasure. This state of mind is due to ignorance that we have obtained in our journey through samsara. It's not only this existence, it can come from previous existences too. The Buddha says that there is not a single thing that causes arisen unwholesome qualities to decline and unarisen unwholesome qualities to arise as heedlessness. Both internally and externally, it leads to great harm. The nature of the influence is illustrated by the simile of the cloth. If the texture of our mind is tarnished by blemishes in our social behavior, the new coloring of higher mentality, adhichitta, and higher wisdom, adhipanya, cannot penetrate. Even if one meditates, the collection of waste products or defilements will not allow any spiritual value to take root. Buddha says, out of regard for your own good, it is proper to strive with heedfulness. Out of regard for others' good, it is proper to strive with heedfulness. Out of regard for your own and others' good, it is proper to strive with heedfulness. This is in the Nidana Sangyutta, number 22. First, according to the Satipatthana, the presence of the defilements in one's behavior should be seen clearly and honestly, recognized. Then see how and when they arise. This is applying the Four Noble Truths to one's life. When one has given up, expelled, and abandoned them, even partly, a great joy and unshakable confidence in the triple gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, will arise. When glad, the mind becomes concentrated. The Buddha says it's like the defiled cloth made pure with the help of clear water. She or he is able to radiate loving kindness to all four quarters and below and above to all as to oneself. This may lead to the attainment of stream entry. The path of stream entry abandons contempt, malice, envy, stinginess, deceit, and fraud. The path of once returner does not do much. But the path of non-returner abandons ill will, anger, and grudge. The path of arahantship abandons covetousness, stubbornness, rivalry, conceit, arrogance, and mental intoxication. So, when a person or a bhikkhu abandons all these defilements, he acquires unwavering confidence in the Buddha and thinks the Buddha is worthy, fully enlightened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, seen Nibbana, knower of the worlds, also the human being called a world, supreme trainer of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened and exalted. He acquires unwavering confidence in the Dhamma and thinks that the Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Buddha, visible here and now, immediately effective, calling one to come and see, onward leading, to be experienced by the wise for themselves. He acquires unwavering confidence in the Sangha and thinks the Sangha is practicing well, is of upright conduct, has entered the right path, practicing correctly, and these four pairs of persons are worthy of offerings and hospitality, worthy of gifts and salutation, supreme field of merit for the world. These thoughts make him glad, and rapture is born in him. When he is rapturous, the body becomes tranquil, and then he feels pleasure, which helps him to concentrate his mind in the meditation subject. The Buddha says that when a bhikkhu attains such virtue, concentration, and wisdom, even if he is offered the most delicious food, he'll not be sensually aroused. This means he is now a non-returner, anagami. He spends his time practicing the four divine abodes, that is metta, karuna, mudita, and upekkha. Then he turns his mind towards insight meditation, that is vipassana, so that he could attain complete liberation. Now, the final section of this sutta shows how a Brahmin named Sundarika was convinced of the Buddha's teaching, though he did not agree at first, became ordained and very diligently practicing the Dhamma, very quickly attained arahantship. So let us also try to at least gain stream entry in this life itself. Thank you. So if you have any questions, please ask.
We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Ayyā Sudinnā for this enlightening talk, sharing her knowledge and guiding us on the path of inner peace and harmony. Now, we will take any questions that the audience has for us. Okay, so we see a lot of welcomings in the chat. So actually, I have a question for you, Ayyā. What is the significance of the Vatthūpama Sutta in Buddhist teachings, and how does it offer profound insights for inner transformation?
The Vatthūpama Sutta is more dealing more with the defilements that anybody could have, not only monastics, though it is given to the monastics. You know, all people have these all these 16 defilements that we talked about, so that what the Buddha is telling the monks is that first you have to get rid of these defilements, at least partly, if not fully, at least partly, so that the good can come enter, can enter your mind. Otherwise, the good will always remain further away from you, and you will never be able to get totally concentrated, and totally, the meditation will not be very successful. So therefore, the Vatthūpama Sutta teaches us how and the importance of getting rid of these defilements. Now, you can't take away all the 16 defilements at once. You have to see for yourself what are the most strongly sort of burdening my mind. Out of these 16, what are the ones that really strongly affect my mind, and then get rid of them one by one. Then when you come to the next step, you can get rid of the next. So like that, you get rid of them little by little. You can't suddenly from yesterday to today become a purely entirely clean. And now, just like the cloth, you see, the cloth, in the first attempt of cleaning, may have still a few stains, and then again you have to rub and use soap or whatever, and then sort of wash it again. Sometimes it may need another washing. So like that, in the same way, the Buddha always takes the best similes that you could think of. So therefore, in the same way, we could get rid of these things. If not, Buddha wouldn't have said, you see, to get rid of them. Because it is possible that Buddha has said, you can do this, do it, and then you can attain liberation.
Thank you so much, Ayyā. Yes, that was really great advice. I myself noticed like patience is something that I'm working on. So the simile is a really great reference to, digging into these defilements and actually trying to purify the mind. Okay, so we're going to see if we have any other questions. We do have a question from Prince. Does a Sotapanna still has sensual desire?
Yes. Sensual desires have not gone. Even anger, actually, the Sotapanna will still have some of these, qualities. But a Sotapanna, one good thing about a Sotapanna is will never be untruthful. So once that person has this kind of defilement, will come out with it and tell somebody who is their equal or above them, look, I have this particular, defilement. Can you please advise me? Or whatever, in other words. So therefore, a Sotapanna has all lust, ill will, all these, the Lobha, Dosa, Moha, those three are there still.
Okay, thank you, Ayyā. We do have another question from Sangamita Narendra. Vandami Ayyā, how can one get rid of his anger, lobha, dosha, moha, and how can one get quick concentration?
Difficult to say quick concentration, but the earlier part, that is to get rid of anger, lobha, dosa, moha. Now, anger comes under dosa, right? Then lobha is the greed, craving, that kind of quality. And moha means ignorance or delusion. So now let us take anger, for instance. Now, why does anger come? You have to see anger comes because of self. The ego is what is doing all this, right? Because we have our ego, we think if someone says something to us and we feel that it is insulting or it is something that upsets you, you get angry. The anger comes because of, not because of the words actually, it is because of our sense of self. So if we can think all the time, whenever not only when we come across a situation like that, but all at all times, when we if we can tell ourselves there is no self here, there is no self here, uh, and uh, think in those terms, then your idea of self perhaps might decrease. And then even if someone says something that is that you don't like, you could still be silent. Perhaps you get angry inside, but you don't let that anger come out. By doing that also, you could suppress the result of that anger. Because you see, now when someone says something, another way is you must see whether what that person says, if it's a comment, whether it's true. Supposing you have that quality, that bad quality, whatever that person is telling you, then what you have to do is to correct yourself. But supposing you don't have it, and that person is just accusing you out of envy, out of whatever, that person's perception of you, then you can be very happy. Oh, I don't have that. I don't have to bother about it. Let that person think anything. It does not matter to me because I don't have that. Right? So, in that way also you could deal with anger in you can think for yourself, how can I get rid of this anger, especially because of self, and also because you don't uh, have mindfulness. So these are two of the things that you have to practice.
Okay, thank you, Ayyā, for that wonderful answer. We have another question from Indika Tushari. In the Vatthūpama Sutta, what are the three types of individuals described by the Buddha, and how do their reactions to external stimuli differ?
What are the three types of individuals? Uh, Let me see. I have the sutta with me here. So let me see what you are talking about. Um, uh, I'm wondering whether the Buddha talks of three people. That is what I'm a little confused about. The Buddha, the three types of individuals described by the Buddha. Um, Buddha, I wonder whether he gives three types of people. Actually, he is just a general, in a general way, he talks about the imperfections, not about certain individuals, but about how these, you see, now at that time, most of these monks might have had these in one way or other, not that they all had all 16, but they would have had some of these qualities, so that the Buddha took all together as a bundle and then made the Vatthūpama Sutta. It's not given as uh, as yeah, no, there is no reference to three people, three individuals. It is just a general description of these 16 qualities.
Okay. So the second part of his question asks, how do their reactions to external stimuli differ?
That is one is how they get immersed in these things, in the sensual desires as well as other things, and then go to a woeful place. And others who are able to get out of them, let go of these, and then to be able to liberate themselves, or even to partly liberate themselves. That's how it comes in the Vatthūpama Sutta. Now I will read out to you that part. It's towards the last, towards the middle of the sutta, where he acquires unwavering confidence in the Dhamma, in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Then that is where he gains inspiration in the meaning, gains inspiration in the Dhamma, gains gladness connected with the Dhamma. When he is glad, the mind becomes concentrated. So you see, whenever we want to meditate, we must never be in a sad mood. We must always be happy, or make our mind happy before we sit down to meditate. Or whether it's walking meditation or sitting meditation, whatever the meditation, your mind must be in a happy mood. Then only there will be concentration. So that is one thing. And another thing is, this comes before that, knowing that covetousness and unrighteous greed is an imperfection that defiles the mind, a bhikkhu abandons it. But that is knowing what it is, knowing that these defilements are not going to help you, you let go of them. Knowing that ill will, all these defilements, whatever is there, you know it, and then you give it up. Then when a bhikkhu has known that covetousness and unrighteous greed is an imperfection that defiles the mind and has abandoned it, when a bhikkhu has known that all these others and abandoned all these, he acquires unwavering confidence in the Buddha. That is the start of the confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And then when you have this confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, then only that his concentration will become perfect, or at least to a certain extent, and be able to go forward in the meditation. Right?
Okay, thank you so much, Ayyā. And if Indika could actually post a comment on what you specifically meant on the 3 types of individuals, that would also be helpful so that we can answer your question. But to move forward, Piyangi Vijayaratna asks, what is the central theme of the Vatthūpama Sutta, and how does it relate to the practice of mindfulness and meditation?
The central theme of the Vatthūpama Sutta is that these defilements are more social than personal, right? It is the last one, that is heedfulness, is the only one that actually the heedlessness, when you go to see the defilement, heedlessness is the only one that is really personal to you. All the others are where you act with others in society, that it is hard, then only that these things come up. So now the central theme of the Vatthūpama Sutta is that your social behavior is important to your spiritual advancement. If you are socially bad, if you can't get on with other people, if you if you are stingy, and if you are all the others, the defilements that we talked about, if you have all those, then it is very difficult for you to maintain your spiritual progress. That is the theme of the Vatthūpama Sutta. So before you start on your meditation, you have to think about what defilements you have and try to get rid of them. Maybe you can't. That is why Buddha says partly. You find in one of the paragraphs, if you are partly rid of them, even then you get such a joy in your mind for being able to get rid of part of these things partly. So that means you don't have to wait till you get rid of all the defilements altogether, but try and get rid of whatever bad things you have, little by little. So that is the theme of the central theme, is that social behavior is important to your spiritual advancement also. And then the next part is, how does it relate to the practice of mindfulness and meditation? Now, here in this sutta, the meditation that's given is the 4 Brahma Viharas. That is Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekka. That is loving kindness, compassion, altruistic joy, and equanimity. That is the meditation that's given here. So to be able to use those meditations in your meditation, personal meditation, you have to be kind, compassionate. You must be able to, in the Karaniyametta Sutta, how Buddha says unbound love, limitless love towards all beings. Just like the mother of one child who has only one child will give her life even to protect that child. Just like that, towards all beings, not just human beings only, all beings, spread your metta, spread your loving kindness to all. So that is the meditation that is there. And mindfulness is, of course, very, very important, whether it is mundane or whether it's spiritual. And mindfulness practice is necessary in order to advance your meditation. Your meditation depends on mindfulness, right? In certain places, Buddha says that mindfulness is meditation, right? So all the time, if you are mindful, you are a very good practitioner. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much, Ayyā Sudinnā, for your words of wisdom. So we will be wrapping up as we don't have any more questions. Oh wait, actually we have something from Prince. I'm not sure if this is the Prince from Italy, but if it is, hello. Okay. What is the practical way to cultivate and practice the 4 Brahma Viharas?
Now, I can give you a very good example, that is the Karaniya Sutta. In the Karaniya Sutta, the Buddha does not say, now usually you know that in the when we do the metta practice, we start with ourselves, right? We say, first start with me. May I be well, happy and peaceful. And then you go to the next of kin, or, the next loving people that you have, may parents, teachers, and so on. So that is not the way it is given in the Karaniya Sutta, as you will see. In the Karaniya Sutta, the way it is given is, one skilled in good, wishing to attain that state of peace. Can you see that? Wishing to attain what? Peace. Peace, right? Should act thus. How should you act? Be able, straight, upright, obedient, gentle, and humble. So all these qualities are very important as a foundation for the practice, right? Then one should be content with what you have. Be easy to support when you come home from your work, and if you don't have much that you like, without throwing your food here and there, be happy with that what you have. I have this at least, right? There are so many others who are entirely hungry, they don't have anything, right? With few duties. Don't take on all the duties that you can think of. Take them one by one. Do one thing first and then go to the next. Living lightly means not thinking of other people's greatness. Other people have this, that, and the other, I too must have those. Living lightly, be content with what you have. And controlled in senses, right? Controlled in senses. That is, you have to control your senses. Not only sexually, but, controlling senses. Whether eating, or whether looking at the TV, or looking at the computer, or talking, or whatever, right? So, controlled in senses, discreet, not impudent, unattached to families. Now, then you start with the meditation in that. Now, this is the meditation that Buddha gives to the monks who went to a forest, and they were able to attain liberation. So that there you find that if you can look at the Karaniya Sutta, you will see, may all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. That is the wish. Not me. And then you go to another. But you take all living beings. What are the living beings? Weak or strong, long or large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, right? Living near or far, born or coming to birth. May all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another. And then so on, you go to, as a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child. Even so, towards all beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. So you can see that the Buddha says, boundless loving friendliness above, below, and all around, right? Without hatred or resentment. Now that is how Buddha asks you to do the metta bhavana. So if you do it correctly, what happens? You will be able to liberate yourself, right?
Okay, thank you so much, Ayyā, for that. So it does seem to be Prince from Italy. I actually met Prince when I traveled to Italy last year with the monks in Vatthūpama. So hello, Prince. We do have another question from Dhamma USA. What is the difference between Loba and Abhijja?
Yeah, is Abhijja is covetousness. Covetousness means, now you get it in Satipatthana Sutta too. Covetousness in the Satipatthana Sutta is covetousness about your own self, right? Thinking that there is a self here, you say, Abhijja Domanassang, you know that the saying in Satipatthana Sutta. Let me give it to you. That is how it ends. Every section ends like this. Atapi sampajano. Atapi sampajano. Satima. Vinaya loke abhijja domanassang. Right? Now I'll give you the English term of that. Ardent is atapi. Atapi is ardent. Sampajano, clearly comprehending, right? Clearly comprehending. Satima, mindful. Can you see? Now all three things are there. Vinaya loke, having subdued longing and grief for the world. Now, what is this world? The world here. This is the world. The Buddha calls this. He says this is how long? 5 feet? 6 feet? This is what he calls the world, not the outside world. So, abhijja is, now the question is loba and abhijja. Yes. So, abhijja is that covetousness for this self, right? Then loba is, of course, stinginess. Loba. But stinginess alone is not loba. Loba can be for what you have to protect it. Also, loba can be what the other person has, you like to have it. That also is loba, and it can be also covetousness, right? So, loba and abhijja. Abhijja is covetousness, really. Loba is craving. Loba. When you say loba, dosa, moha, it's craving. Dosa is ill will, and moha is delusion.
Great, thank you, Ayyā, for that. We do have a question from Piyangi Vijayaratna. How to become a bhikkhuni? It's a good question.
Come here, I will make you a bhikkhuni. Depending on how old you are.
Okay, sadhu. We have another question from Piyangi. How can one attain Sotapanna this birth itself?
Now, that is something that another person cannot do for you. It is something that one has to do by oneself. Because, you see, it is the practice that matters. From A to Z, you have to become a practitioner. When you do something, when you think something, when you act, think, or, before you do that. Now, when a thought comes to you, first of all, you must always think, is this thought good for me? In the advice to Rahula, the Buddha gives, look, now, Buddha asks first, what does a mirror do? A mirror you hold a mirror in front of you and you can see your image in the mirror. In the same way, the Buddha says, now make this a mirror, the Dhamma a mirror. Dhamma. How do you make the Dhamma a mirror? That is by when you think, when a thought comes to you, now you first think, is this thought going to be of use to me? Is this thought going to be of any use to others? If it is so, yes, the thought is good. In the same way about action and also speech. Now, before you utter something, think, is this going to be of use to me? Is this going to be of use to the other? If so, you say it. If it is only going to be of use to you, then don't say it. If it is something that is going to be of use to the other, then also don't say it. But if it is something that is going to be of use to both, then say it. So in this way, you practice right from A until you come to Z. Then you would have reached Sotapanna. Okay, thank you all for the questions. Thank you all for
Okay, everyone. So I'm going to be joining. I'm actually here with Ayyā Sudinnā, and I thought to join next to her. So for more information about Ayyā Sudinnā and Carolina Buddhist Vihara, you can please visit her website at carolinabuddhist.org. Remember, our Dhamma journey doesn't end here. You can explore more Dhamma resources and updates on our website, dhammausa.org, or our blog, dhammausa.com. If you have any questions or inquiries, feel free to contact us at info@dhammausa.com. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in this special Dhamma Talk series. We hope today's talk was enriched your understanding of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Don't forget to subscribe to Dhamma USA's YouTube channel and follow us on our social media platforms for future updates and Dhamma sharing sessions. Until we meet again next Sunday, may the Dhamma guide us on our journey towards inner transformation and harmony. Wishing you all a peace and fulfilling day ahead. Goodbye.
Sadhu.